Welcome, Earth Science students, to the last video of the school year. Congratulations, we finally made it. This is going to be the last one we're talking about in our last unit of natural resources. So today we're going to be talking about renewable versus non-renewable resources. There's a little kind of virtual lab that I'm going to have you guys do as well. If you have any questions about the directions, I'm going to post two documents in the same assignment. One is the directions, and then one is the one that you'll actually fill out. Okay, other than that, the final is going to be posted on Thursday. All of your makeup work is due by Sunday the 17th. That is 7 days from right now when I'm recording this on the 10th. Okay, 7 days. Okay, so make sure that you get all your stuff in, and I will get it graded, and you will have your grades posted hopefully early next week. All right, but without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so let's talk about energy resources. Okay, so an energy resource is a substance that can be used as a source of energy. Okay, so all of this that we're talking about with natural resources is going to be energy based. Okay, there's two types of energy resources that you probably already knew of. There are renewable resources and there are non-renewable resources. Okay, fossil fuels are an energy source formed over millions of years from the remains of dead organisms, okay, from the pressure of the earth, compacting and that sort of thing to create coal, natural gas, stuff like that. Hey, energy conservation, that definition is to reduce the amount of energy or energy resources used. And mostly this is in order to keep what we already have so that we don't run out. Conserving energy can lead to lower pollution, less impact on ecosystems, and saving money on energy bills. Okay, so again, energy conservation is a very hot topic right now, especially with our world becoming more industrialized and more technology based. We're going to be using more and more energy. If you just imagine, 20 years ago even, not that many people had cell phones, but now everybody is using energy to charge their cell phones, particularly at night. That energy, it was not being needed that much even just 20 years ago. All right, so renewable resources is a resource that can be replaced in a relatively short amount of time. Okay, they produce very little waste products, so they are clean for the environment. Certain renewable resources can be very expensive to begin with, such as constructing a dam or constructing wind turbines, but then they are very inexpensive to maintain after that. Okay, they're used daily by large populations worldwide. Okay, and here are some pictures. Okay, so we got the wind turbines, we've got solar panels, and then the picture on the right is a geothermal plant that takes in heat from the earth and creates it into energy. All right, so the examples that we're going to be talking about and that you're going to be talking about in your exploration that I am having you do. Okay, the renewable examples are wind, geothermal, solar, biomass, and hydropower or water. Okay, just a little bit of information about all of these. So wind, basically, we put turbines in places that are constantly windy so that they turn a motor, okay, generating electricity. Okay, so they turn it and it generates electricity. Geothermal is all about taking the natural heat underground. Okay, so for example, in places like, we have places in the mountains, Glenwood Springs, and that sort of place is a place of geothermal activity because they're hot springs, so there's natural heat coming up through the Earth's surface. If you ever happen to travel to Iceland, there is a huge geothermal plant on that island. And basically they use that power to power almost for the majority of their island. solar panels that people put on their houses, the solar panels that we have out just right in front of our school. Okay, those take in energy from the sun. If you remember when we were in the sun unit, we talked completely about how much energy the sun contains and how much it gives us. Okay, and so this is a way for us to capture that energy, okay, and use it for electricity. Okay, biomass has to do with the burning of natural resources like wood and stuff like that in order to create heat, which can generate electricity or generate energy as well. Hydropower, okay, the energy that is produced by rivers. Okay, so if you imagine a river has a velocity, so it carries energy with it. Okay, and so what we're trying to do with hydropower or with dams is harness that energy so that we can use it in electricity and those sorts of things. Hey, wind power generated by harnessing the energy from the movement of wind. Okay, this is just going to be again an overview of what I just told you on the last slide. Solar power produced by harnessing the energy of the sun's rays. Geothermal energy that comes from extreme heat within the earth. Biomass energy from recently living organisms such as leaves or plants can be burned to release energy. And lastly, hydropower energy produced from the movement of flowing water. All right, so let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of renewable resources. So number one, they're replaced over time so they will not run out. Okay, we're not going to have any shortage of wind in northeast Colorado where we have a big wind farm. Okay, it's almost constantly windy there, so it's pretty much gonna be there no matter what. Okay, we don't run out of solar energy. Okay, the sun is, as far as we know it, going to be there every single day. Okay, and that sort of thing. They produce very little waste products, so they are clean for the environment. Okay, so wind turbines do not give off any greenhouse gases or anything like that. Hydropower don't give off anything like that, so they are a cleaner way to produce energy. Disadvantages. Now, I'm not going to go through the disadvantages of each and every single resource, but you guys should be thinking about how each of those has their own disadvantages. I'm going to talk about the general ones. Hopefully through the exploration you also see some disadvantages of each of the individual ones. For example, a disadvantage of solar: if you live somewhere that's constantly cloudy, not the best idea to get solar panels because you're not going to be maximizing how much solar energy is being produced, that sort of thing. Okay, it doesn't make sense to put wind turbines somewhere that's not windy. Okay, otherwise you're not going to be generating any electricity. Okay, and that sort of thing. So disadvantages: renewable energy facilities can be expensive to start the first time. Like I said, it's expensive to build a dam right away. That can be worrisome for a lot of people to start out with that source of energy. Number two, renewable resources are not able to be used in all locations. Like I said, hey, you can't put wind turbines where it's not windy. You can't have solar panels in a cloudy climate, a place that's constantly cloudy like Seattle. It wouldn't really make sense to put solar panels in Seattle when they only get 100 days of sunshine a year, whereas here we get upwards of 200 days or more of sunshine, where it makes more sense, and you see a lot more houses have solar panels because of that. All right, so then let's talk about non-renewable resources. So this is a resource that exists in a limited supply. Non-renewable resources are used up faster than they are being replaced. Okay, these take millions of years to form. They're able to be stored for use at a later time. That's the good thing. That's going to be another advantage, is that, for example, when it's windy, okay, wind turbines can only capture that wind at that moment in time, whereas if you mine coal, well, I can keep coal stored away for as long as I need to and then use it when I need it. Certain non-renewable resources can cause pollution when burned. Okay, and so we have things like natural gas and coal and oil. Okay, so non-renewable examples: coal, oil, natural gas, and nuclear energy are the ones that we are going to be talking about. Non-renewable energy: coal. It's a fossil fuel, solid energy resource produced from plants' remains that have compacted over time. Okay, oil, fossil fuel formed from the remains of small marine plants and animals buried under heat and pressure. Okay, both of these again are burned in order to generate heat, which then generates electricity. Natural gas is another fossil fuel, especially very prevalent in Colorado. A lot of people use natural gas furnaces and that sort of thing. A flammable gas that occurs naturally in the ground. And then finally, we have nuclear energy, which we don't get into a whole lot in this class, but in physical science, we talk about it a lot. We have a whole unit on nuclear energy, talk about the chemistry behind it, of the splitting of atoms and that sort of thing. But nuclear energy is the energy produced by atomic reactions through nuclear fission, which is the splitting of the nucleus of an atom. This is considered non-renewable, mostly because you need to have certain radioactive material in order for fission to take place, and if you use all that up, it does not replenish itself fast enough to keep using it constantly. All right, advantages and disadvantages, just like renewable. Advantages: they are able to be stored for use at a later time. Okay, they are more cost effective. Before we move on to disadvantages, another advantage is it goes hand in hand with the cost, is that they're able to be turned into energy at a higher efficiency. So, you can take coal and oil and burn it and create more energy than taking a wind turbine and throwing it out there and it collecting wind and generating electricity. One is fast, one is much slower. Okay, disadvantages: they can be used up if they are not conserved. Okay, we can definitely run out of oil and coal if we just did not care about conserving them at all. We could very easily run out of them very quickly. They also lead to pollution of the environment. They release greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide that trap heat. They warm our climate and that sort of thing. That's just another disadvantage. Again, remember that with all of these, there's kind of an individual advantages and disadvantages with each of them. Disadvantage of nuclear power: if you've ever heard of Chernobyl, they have cataclysmic events if they ever happen at nuclear power plants, and they can be very devastating. Chernobyl is still uninhabitable, and we are, I think, somewhere around 40 years removed from that incident. Okay, so then we have this Venn diagram: renewable, both, and non-renewable. On just the renewable side, okay, again, just to review, they can be replaced in a short amount of time. They don't pollute the environment. They are more expensive to start. And the examples we used were biomass, geothermal, solar, and wind. On non-renewable side, they are not able to be replaced during a lifetime. They form from the remains of decaying organisms. They take millions of years to form. They pollute the environment when burned, and that is coal, oil, natural gas. You'll notice I didn't put nuclear on there, mostly because we don't talk about it that much in this class. It comes up a little bit. We kind of save that for physical science so that we can talk about it when we talk about the chemistry portion. Both, though, do provide us energy. They are both considered natural resources, and they are both used by humans daily. Okay, so for example, on my house, I have solar panels, but I also have a natural gas oven. So I use a combination of both resources every single day of my life. Okay, now that is all I have for you. That is all that you need to know for this unit. And then I want you to do a little bit of exploring in that little virtual lab that we're going to be doing. And then other than that, you just need to be prepared for the final coming on Thursday. There's multiple choice, there's free response. Make sure that you get that in by Sunday. And then if I don't see you, which I probably won't, have a great summer. Come back in the fall. Hopefully we're in person. Don't get your hopes up, I would say. Okay, that's just me being real. I mean, a lot of people think that it's going to be just fine this summer. I have a feeling we may not be back to in-person classes in the fall, but who knows at this point. But as I said, have a great summer. Thank you to all of you that have been keeping up with your work and being on task and getting it all done. And as always, thanks for watching.